Tonight, I am here at Harrahs Pompano Beach in South Florida, and I'm going to be playing a 5-10 game. I head to the cashier and give them $5,000 worth of bills and get back $5,000 worth of poker playing chips. Sit down at the table and buy them for $3,000. I end up playing some huge pots by the end of the night. Hope you guys enjoy this one. Let's get started. First up, there's a button straddle on for 25. I've got pocket 10s in the big blind. I'm second to act. I raise to 75 and I get one caller next to act. I get a straddle call and we go three ways to 5-3 deuce rainbow. I bet $100 and only the straddle makes the call. Turn card's a queen. It's an over card to my pair, but I feel like I can continue to bet here. Get called by worse pairs, straight draws, now even flush draws. I continue for 175 and the straddle on the button makes the call again. River card pairs the board, it's another 5. Feel like it's kind of hard to get value from worse hands. Also, maybe he could have a 5, so I check. He does bet $200 and I pay this one off and get shown 5-9 for trips on the river. We're down a couple $100 on the first hand. We are moving up in the world of pocket pairs. I get dealt in now pocket aces. There's a call for 25. I raise to 100. Call from the cutoff and call from both blinds. We go four ways. Red aces to 9 deuce deuce, 2 hearts. A great flop for me. I have the ace of hearts. I've got an overpair. No one should have a deuce here very often. Maybe a 9. Pocket pairs. Flush draws. I bet really small on this flop, $50. Into around a $400 pot, basically trying to maybe bait someone to raise or get people to call with overcards that they're drawing almost dead with. Well, the cutoff calls, other players fold. We're now heads up to the queen on the turn. I'm going to now size up my betting here and I make it $375, hoping to get called by flush draws, 9x hands. The cutoff player now puts in a raise to $750, a min raise here. He's got around $2,000 left in his stack. Obviously, I'm a little bit concerned. I mean, it's possible he could have pocket 9s. He shouldn't have pocket queens. He would most likely 3-bet that pre-flop. Maybe he's got a deuce, but what is he calling $100 with? King deuce suited, queen deuce suited. I have 2 aces, so I block ace deuce. I feel like my best option here is just to call, let this guy bluff if he is, or maybe he's overvaluing a queen X hand. So I put in 750, get back my change, and go to the river, which is another queen, and it's the queen of hearts. Bringing in the flush draw, I check, and he snap jams all in for $1,800. And when I say snap jammed, right when I checked, he instantly said all in, as quick as he possibly could. And now I am in a very tough spot. Very weird spot here with pocket aces. My opponent was representing hands like pocket 9s or a deuce when he raised on the turn. And now it seems like he's not even scared that I could have a queen. When someone snap jams all in super quick when the river card changes the board texture, it makes me feel like they could be bluffing. Now this would kind of be a suicidal bluff. But in this game, I tend to just call more because these players sometimes do some really crazy things. It's kind of a close spot, but with pocket aces here, don't feel like he's ever doing this with a flush. He's probably not jamming pocket 9s here on the river, so either he's got a queen or nothing at all. So after a little bit of tanking, for $1,800, I put in the call. As you can see in the top left corner, we are not going to be winning this one. He has 8 deuce suited for trips on the flop. He gets complete double up. Man, I lose another huge pot in this game. I feel like over the past couple months, I've lost some huge pots in this game with one pair of hands, thinking that maybe my opponents are bluffing, when in reality, they're probably not bluffing too often. $1,800 here lost on the river, $750 lost on the turn. Rough hand, over $2,000 with aces not going my way. I add on to my stack. I'm now in the game for $8,500. Before we move on to the next hand, I do want to say at the end of this video, I'm going to make an announcement, something I've been working on for a while now, something I've been thinking about for over a year, and something that will be open to you guys in just about a month or two. I'm excited for this. Make sure to stay tuned all the way to the end of the video for that. In this hand, I've got ace queen of clubs. I raise to 75. I get 2 callers before the hijack player re-raises me to 175 bucks. Back over here to the small blind who cold calls $175, and I could go both ways of just calling $100 more, but given the fact that there's so much dead money in the pot, I feel like a 4-bet is good. Now, looking back, I have no idea what I was doing with this size. I decided to 4-bet here to $500. I think it's just way, way too small. Should probably be going something like $800 or $900 given the fact that there's so much dead money in the middle. I'm hoping that I can just get heads up here against the hijack player. However, with this small sizing of $500 and at an action-packed game where no one likes to fold pre-flop, I end up getting 3 calls for $500. So the pot is over 2,000, ace, queen of clubs to 10, 10, 3, 2 clubs. I flopped a nut flush draw, super multi-way here. When it checks to me, I could go back and forth between betting here or checking. I feel like it's definitely possible one of my opponents could have a 10 or a pocket pair. I'm going to try to implement a little pot control and check. The low jack player checks, and now the hijack player who re-raised me to 175 to begin with now bets out for $1,000. Small blind folds, action back over on me. He's betting about half the size of the pot. I've got 2 overcards if he does have a medium-sized pocket pair. I've got the nut flush draw. We also have over $4,000 to play for. So I make the call for $1,000, over $4K in the middle to a terrible turn card. It's a 10. Now any pair makes a full house. I check. He bets $3,000. Cannot be calling, so I fold my hand. And my opponent does show pocket 9s for a full house. Little unfortunate. I lose another big pot. Around $1,500 not going my way. I'm now stuck over $4,000 on this session. Very frustrating session so far. Things haven't been going my way, but maybe we can get it back here with pocket 10s. There's 2 calls for $25 straddle. There's a late position raise to $225. With 10s here, I feel like my hand is strong enough to put in another re-raise out of position. Don't want to be calling and allow multiple people in the pot, so I make it $600. Another small sizing. Not really sure what I was doing with my sizings in this session, but I get exactly what I want when the low jack player ends up making the call for $600. Pocket 10s, heads up, out of position to 8-3-3, 2 spades. An overcard, or an overpair, on this board. I bet out $425 and my opponent makes the call. Turn card finally is good for us. It's a 10 of hearts, giving me top full house. The question now is, should I continue to bet or should I check and trap? I would be checking here with some of my hands that miss, so I'm going to check with a super strong hand, hoping he will bluff or get there with a pair or a flush on the river. He does check back, unfortunately, but the river card is the deuce of spades. Front door flush gets there. I'm not going to check again, given the fact that he checked back the turn, so I'm going to bet $1,000, just praying, hoping he's got something to call me with. After a little bit of time, he shows an ace and gives his cards back to the dealer. We do make a big hand here with a full house. We now make around $1,000 profit in this hand. Maybe this hand was the turning point for the night. Over the next hour or so, winning and losing some small pots, I do win more pots than I lose, and now my stack is around even. I have around $8,000-ish. Cruising along, we were down $4,000, not too bad. There's a player to my right who's been opening and playing a ton of hands. He races to 50. I have ace-7 suited on the button, and I 3-bet him to 175, and he makes the call. We go heads up here in position to an ace-high flop, giving me top pair. He checks, and I check this one back. Turn card 6 of diamonds, now bringing in a flush draw. He checks again. I bet out $200, and my opponent makes the call. The river card really shouldn't change anything with an offsuit 5. And now, to my surprise, the cutoff player leads into me for a $650 bet. I snap call with my top pair and get shown queen 5 of diamonds. A river 2 pair by my opponent. The way I played this hand after checking back the flop in a 3-bet pot, don't think I can ever really fold on the river. Just another unlucky hand. We went from being even to now down over $1,000 again. What a very swingy night. Things really aren't going my way, kind of getting unlucky, making bad calls, but the next hand is going to be a huge one against my opponent here on the right. There's a couple calls for 25, and the player to my right, who just beat me with queen 5 of diamonds, raises to 200. I get in there with pocket 5s looking to hit a set, and one of the limpers make the call 3 ways to a queen high board with a 5 in it. Bottom set for us. Middle position player checks. Low jack player, initial raiser, who made it $200 pre-flop, fires out for a big bet of $325. Now, I say big bet, but it really isn't that big of a bet compared to the size of the pot. It's around half the size of the pot. I could raise with my bottom set, but I elect just to call next to act, hoping that it will allow him to be in there with worse hands. If I raise, it may scare him away, and he could hero fold some one pair hands. The middle position player calls as well, so now we are 3 ways, about $1,500 in the middle to the king of diamonds on the turn. Middle position player checks. And now the initial raiser, who had queen 5 of diamonds earlier, continues for now a very big bet. $900 going in the middle. I don't really like this king on the turn because, one, pocket kings now makes a set that's bigger than mine. Jack 10 gets there for a straight. And also the king could be a scare card if one of my opponents has a queen. Well, this guy is showing zero fear about the king on the board. He's saying he's got a big hand. I don't feel like he's ever going to be bluffing in this situation versus 2 players after getting 2 calls in the flop. I can definitely raise my hand versus this $900 sizing, but we're extremely deep stacked, around $8,000 effective to start this hand. With all these big blinds to play for, when an obvious straight gets there and I have bottom set, I feel like just calling is the best option, so that's what I do. And the middle position player calls as well. What the heck does he have? Trying to do some quick hand reading here. I feel like the middle position player most likely has a flush draw after calling on the flop and then calling again on the turn, which means the initial raiser who bet $900 could have hands like aces, ace, king, king, queen, or queens, kings, or jack 10 for a straight. I'm not really sure where I'm at. I could be ahead, could be behind, but the river card's the 4 of clubs. A good card, flush draw misses, middle position player checks. Initial raiser now checks over to me. So this is a big sigh of relief. We have a super strong hand, pocket 5s, for bottom set. But if the initial raiser would have put out a huge bet of $3,000 or $4,000, we may not have been good. Now once he checks, I know I have the best hand. I feel very safe and comfortable to bet. Over $4,000 in the middle, I bet out $2,200. I'm assuming the middle position player who called the flop and called the turn, who I thought had a flush draw, is just going to be snap folding his hand. He goes back and counts his chips, and it looks like he's got around $2,000 left. And eventually, after a minute, he puts in the call. Okay, that should be good for us. Now the action's back over here on the initial raiser. After betting $900 on the turn and checking the river, he is now in the tank, thinking to himself, do you have jack 10? Would you play a set like this? I just don't think I can fold my hand. It's too strong. Obviously, once he's talking like this, I am just hoping he makes the call and I can make another $2,000. I'm also thinking maybe he's nit rolling with a set, but that seems a little bit unlikely. Most likely has aces, ace, king, or maybe 2 pair. Hoping for a call, and after 2 minutes of thinking, the initial raiser in this hand calls as well. A huge pot here. I show pocket 5s. The first middle position player has queen 9 for 2 pair, and the initial raiser on my right has king queen for 2 pair as well. What a sick, cooler run out. 2 pair versus 2 pair versus a set for us. We started off this session getting crushed, making bad calls, getting aces cracked, not really playing my best, which resulted in losing over $4,000, but we clawed back, tried to stay patient, tried to continue to play my best and not go on tilt, and we get rewarded here, winning over a $10,000 pot. Our stack is now up over $10,000. Huge spot in the game for $8,500. Now profiting over $2,000 on the day. I will take it after losing a bunch of hands early on. We've got one more hand here before the night comes to a close. As you guys have seen in this game, there's a ton of loose action. In this hand, there's a raise to 175 from early position. I've got queen jack offsuit on the button and make the call. If I was in a game where everyone was playing very tight, I would never call with this hand versus such a big opening size. But in this game, I want to get in there. I want to give some action, so I make the call on the button. Blinds call as well. We go 4 ways to Jack 9-9. Flopping top pair for me when the action checks over to me on the button. Feel very good about my hand. I'm going to bet out $400 for protection. Also for some value against straight draws. Worse are Jack X hands. Small blind folds, big blind folds. But the initial raiser who raised to 175 pre-flop makes kind of a chip dance like he wants to fold, but then puts in $400 to call. From what I've seen in the past, when someone tries to act weak and then call, it's kind of a reverse tell where they're very strong. So when the turn card's a 6 and he checks again, I'm going to check this one back thinking he could have a monster. River card 5 and he leads out for $2,000. What kind of bet is this? A huge bet according to the size of the pot. Does he have a 9? Aces? Kings? I felt like he may have been slow playing a monster and I cannot call versus a sizing, so I fold. And he does show pocket 9s for a flopped quads. Wow, nice hand, man. That ends up concluding our session here at the Harrahs. I end up racking up my chips, heading to the cage, and cashing out for the night. Oh, dropping shit. Alright guys, that is it for this one. Hope you enjoyed this crazy swingy session of poker. At one point I was down over $4,000, getting aces cracked, paying people off. 2 pairs hit against me. It was just not my night. I try to stay patient though. I try to stay disciplined. I flopped a set of 5s and won over a $10,000 pot. A massive cooler 2 pair versus my set. That $10,000 pot propelled me all the way up to winning over $2,000 on the session there at Harrahs Pompano Beach. But that is enough with the poker recap for that session. Let's get into the announcement that I teased earlier on in this video. This is a project that I've been thinking about for the last year, and it's been a project that I've really been trying to work on and put things in place over the past 2 or 3 months. And I just started this project for real 2 weeks ago. I'm excited to announce that I will be releasing my very first poker book, and the book is going to be called How to Beat 1-2 No Limit Live Poker. It's going to be a guide, tips, strategies, all the things that you need to know to win at low stakes poker. I know that a lot of the people who watch my videos are players who play 1-2, 1-3, 2-5 no limit. The reason that I know this is because when I go to poker rooms like Florida, Texas, Vegas, LA, Maryland, a lot of the people who come up to me and say, hey, I watch your videos. Hey, I seen you on YouTube. Hey, can we take a picture? All that kind of stuff. They're all players who play those 1-2 and 1-3 and 2-5 stakes. I don't get that many people from PLO or 1025 that are saying those things to me. So I want to create a guide, a blueprint, a book for the people who watch my videos. How to beat 1-2 no limit live poker. I also am going to be going over my story of how I got into poker. If you don't know my story, you have to read the book. But those of you who may be wondering, Lex, you only play 510 or 1025. Why would I read a book about you beating or how to beat low stakes poker? Well, for one, poker is poker. If you can beat the big stakes and the higher stakes, you can most likely beat the lower stakes as well. And that's where I started playing poker back in 2018. Like I said, you got to read the book. You got to go and read my entire story. In the book, I'm going to go over how I started playing poker in 2018 as something for fun. I was a personal trainer in Miami. I had no money. I had no real career goals or ambitions. I didn't know where I was going to go. I thought maybe I would do this or this or this. Financially, I was a mess. I had nothing really going. I was 25, 26 years old. I started playing poker for fun, and then I decided, okay, I'm going to pursue playing poker professionally. In the book, I go over the stories of how I went up and down. I won money and I went broke multiple times, what I had to do in between those times when I couldn't play poker because I had no money. I also go over in the book how I became a 1-2 no limit winning player after losing for so long, and then how I moved up in stakes to 2-5 and 5-10. In the book, I talk about bankroll management, down swings, pre-flop action, post-flop action, all sorts of little intricacies that are very important to win. So basically, I'm just giving you guys, hopefully, a blueprint to win at no limit, low stakes poker. I'm really excited about this. I've been working on it for the past 2 weeks or so. I've already written over 7,000 words. I think I have like 27 pages. This is not going to be like a hardback book that you would order and it would be delivered to you. It's going to be something you just purchase online. So you can purchase it, it'll go to your phone or your computer, and you can read it over and over again, which is what I would recommend. When you read something one time, you may only comprehend 20 or 30% of it. So I would recommend reading the book over and over again, going back to certain chapters and reading that kind of stuff. I've been really working on this for a while now, trying to create some ideas, and I'm excited that I'm doing this. It's pretty big for me. I haven't written a book ever in my life. I don't really read many books since college, so it's been a really cool process typing on my computer. I've also been playing more One Two No Limit. I haven't really played One Two No Limit since 2018 or 2019, so every week I go in and I'll play like half an hour or an hour at One Two No Limit, and I write stuff down. If I see something, I'll write it down. If I hear someone say something, I'll write that down. If something happens to me, I'll write that down because I want to be fresh. I want to have good new strategies for you guys of how to beat these low stakes games. If you read this book and if you follow what I say, you can definitely become a winning low stakes player and potentially move up through the stakes. I mean, that was my story, how I was lucky enough to go from a dead broke One Two No Limit player to where I'm at today. I'm really excited about this. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll have more updates to come on the book, more videos just like this every single week. Until next time, I'll see you.